Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the RE100 Rebawoo. So yes, unfortunately for the world, this was a P-Bandai kit, but fortunately for me, I was able to get one, and I wanted to share this with you guys to let you know what it's like if you haven't gotten one, if you feel like you want to hunt one down and try to get one. Hopefully this review will help you decide that. So anyway, let's get into the review. Just the kit overall, obviously very red. A lot of stickers for this kit, especially for like the sleeves markings. I'll point those out, but basically all where you're seeing like those very sleeves-esque, just those intricate white lining things. Yeah, it's all stickers, but I mean, you would kind of expect that, wouldn't you? You would also kind of expect that maybe it would come with a lot of water slides for that. I mean, kind of similar to like the Master Grade Shenanju did for its gold striping, but no, not really in this case. So you will have to do, if you're going to paint, I suppose, you will have to do some reverse wash on those, but that should be easy enough. If you guys watched my video on how to do that, I'm sure there's other videos out online, but I did do a video on how to do a reverse wash for painting. It's very simple and easy to do, and you can do it too. All you gotta do is watch that video. That was on my work in progress video on the HGUC Kshatriya not all too long ago, and that came out really well. So yeah, I think if you guys want to do that, it shouldn't be a problem. We don't have the water slides for that lining part, but we do have a whole bunch of other water slides with this kit. I'll show you those again here in a minute when I'm talking about all the stuff that comes with this kit. And it does come with a lot of stuff, and this kit is pretty awesome. I do have one big complaint about this, but it's totally like an aesthetic, personal, just kind of complaint. In terms of the kit itself, there's really nothing to complain about because it comes with everything that you would expect it to come with, and it does everything that you would expect it to do. Knowing that it is an RE kit and knowing that it's a P-Bandai kit, you should have a good idea of exactly what to expect with this kit. Of course, it does transform, and you guys may be wondering, is he going to show us the transformation or just be lazy again and just skip it? And I'm not going to be lazy, obviously. I'm going to show you guys the transformation. Duh, of course. Why would I skip the transformation? I know all you guys are just dying to see what this kit looks like transformed. Because, I mean, why would you buy this epic-looking, like, mobile suit and not just keep it in its transformed mode, obviously? I mean, come on, right? So, alright, let's just start off with just taking a look around the kit here. First, once again, here are those water slides I was mentioning. So, pretty awesome water slides for this kit. Definitely. There's some striping there, but it's not for the sleeves markings. There's also a whole bunch of that really cool 10S with the strike through it and the Neo Zeon symbol there. It's pretty awesome water slides. That's always a big, nice, good sign. Oh, I don't know what I was going to say, big something. Anyway, so totally new head for this kit. Probably someone is going to ask, can you make the original Rebawoo with all the extra parts of this kit? And I really don't know why you would even want to do that. Like, why would you buy this kit and then just, you want to make a red Rebawoo? But just for whoever maybe is thinking of asking that, no, I don't think so. I don't remember though, actually. You do have a lot of leftover parts, so I think you maybe could. Oh no, I don't think so. I think you don't have all of the necessary parts to make the original Rebawoo. But you do have a lot of leftover parts, so like for some odd reason, for example, if you don't like this new head, you want to have just the regular Rebawoo head, you can do that. See, there are some leftover parts that you could use for swapping something if you wanted to. So anyway, here on the chest, that white piece there in the center, that's an actual piece, but under that is a sticker that will make the striping over the top of the chest part there. These parts, obviously, sticker there, new chest vent parts there. On the front skirt, that's obviously a big sticker covering this part there, but all that detail is all molded onto those parts, so again, doing a reverse wash won't be an issue for those. Same thing here on these parts here. The sticker, I mean, the stickers fit over these parts relatively well. You gotta be really careful putting them on and like working them out. I use just a toothpick to kind of like work them into the creases there to make them look their best, but they are going to be just coming off again later, so it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, stickers for that. Those parts are just molded in black, just out of the box anyway. Of course, we have the same gimmick here where those the little guy in the arm will open up. I'm not going to go through and too much about the articulation of this guy because the articulation is going to be all exactly the same as the Rebawoo. If you guys saw my review of the Rebawoo, you know what to expect. If you really want to know about the articulation, go check my review of the Rebawoo. New parts here for the kind of waist section, which makes these new side skirts here. These side skirts do not move at all, though, so those are not going to be moving. That's just totally fixed like that. The little wing here on the side, that does move a little bit though, so you can put that out when it's in its nutter mode. Here on the side of the leg, we do have the new parts attached onto here. These big new parts, very Shinanju-esque. So that's going to be very cool. Here on the top of that, this little guy here does also move. It's super stiff though. Obviously going to be a seam line on this part as well. But yeah, very stiff moving that. So one thing about this kit, and it's just this design in general, there's just all this stuff sticking out everywhere. These fins on the side skirt, these big things poking up from the side of the legs, fins on the back, very long shoulders, so stuff pointing around everywhere. And so like moving it around, it can, like stuff's just going to be banging into each other this way and every which way. New feet as well, looking pretty cool. Gotta love those high heels, nice detail underneath. All of that, and then new backpack parts here. So you can't actually clip the missiles. We have those parts for the little missile pod there, but we don't have the actual clip part to clip it onto there, if I remember correctly. Actually, I've tossed all the extra parts into my bin already, but yeah, you are going to use this when it's transformed into the nutter mode. We have this extra little piece there. You can see I have that little peg piece plugged onto the bottom of there. That's for plugging this onto the nutter mode. You can actually plug these onto there. I'll show you that later in the transformation, but do not throw those away, I guess, if you do want to have it transformed. But anyway, just like the regular Rebawoo, just lots of really nice detail all around. Super nice kits. It basically looks like a master grade. It's just not going to have that full inner frame, of course, and the hands are going to be pretty basic. Speaking of the hands for this kit, we just have two holding hands there, which you can see on the kit, and then we have one other hand, which is a trigger finger, which I've got here on the Shinanju's beam rifle. No back of the hand. For the manipulator covers, you only get two included with the kit when you need three. Unfortunately, they couldn't give us one more of those, even if it was not in the correct color. Would have been nice. Then, of course, you can obviously always paint that. So with the Shinanju's beam rifle, we do also have some more stuff from the Shinanju's beam axes. So there's the two of those there connected onto the back of the shield. We do also have a small little connection piece if you want to connect those together to make like a double-ended beam axe. You can use this little connection piece to do that. In the middle there, we do also have the bazooka, or sorry, not the bazooka, the grenade launcher, which can be attached into here at the bottom of the rifle. So if you don't want to have this here on the shield. But obviously new parts here for the shield. Basically the only part that is remaining from the original shield is this main black part, which will not be putting that kind of crest here, that Neo Zeon crest on the front. You could do that because you do have that part. So you could put that part on here on the shield if you want, but not technically supposed to. So it's got this, the verniers here on the front of the shield are just closed off. Have this extra white big blade lining part going around the outside. And then obviously the back here, again, is just made to fit the beam axes on there. So those can come out, but they can't turn around like on the Shinanju. You would have to actually just take them off and flip them around like that if you wanted. And kind of because of this little peg part on there, which is a peg that's supposed to plug into the hand, that kind of is a little bit not fitting in there too well if you wanted to have those pointed up. So it's best to just keep them pointed down when not held in the hand. So here is where we're going to get to kind of my biggest complaint about this kit, and again, this is just totally due to the design. The kit itself is perfectly fine, exactly what you would expect, but unfortunately just due to the design of this mobile suit, the shield clips onto the back of the arm, and I didn't like this about the Rebawoo either, I should mention, but because like this shield is so awesome, it's hidden on the back of the arm. I mean, it's definitely not hidden, you can clearly see it there, but if you want to actually have it like in the front, that means like your arm is like turned around backwards, which again looks kind of okay from the front, but if you see it from pretty much any other angle where you're actually seeing the arm, you're going to be wondering why does it look like its arm is backwards and like doing an impossible bend. So that's kind of unfortunate, but again, it's just due to the design, unfortunately. So yeah, we do have all these beam effect parts for the beam axes, just long ones here, We have 2 of those and 2 short ones as well. You can mix and match those however you want to use them. These are going to be a little bit heavy and obviously adding some weight onto there, so we'll have to test it. I'm going to guess though, this big heavy shield with these beam effect parts on there, you're not going to be able to actually hold that up probably. I mean, as it is, it's like kind of already drooping down a little bit, so you can see it's already having some weight issues there. Adding the beam effect parts on there is going to make it pretty heavy, I think, unfortunately. There's ways, of course, to fix that, but yeah, we're gonna have to be fixing that. So then we have these are the beam effect parts that come from the Shinanju, so those are included, but unfortunately they don't actually work with this kit just as they are, because the beam saber handles we have from the Rebawoo have a circular peg hole and these have a square peg hole. But what you can do, what I've done with one of these, just for an example here, I actually cut mine a little bit too small, but you can cut that down so it's smaller, and then because I cut mine a little bit too small, I wrapped a little bit of masking tape around there. And then you can plug that in. Now, it's not going to match up perfectly. As you can see, it's kind of like looking a little bit odd, but then you can maybe trim that down a little bit more. But you can use these, and no, I really don't think anyone's going to notice that. It's still going to look pretty passable, and I think these beam effect parts look a lot better than the other ones you get with the kit. The other ones that we get is just a set of just very normal ones. These are just typical like 1/100th scale beam saber effect parts, but they're in that clear yellow, so I mean, they look nice. But these jagged ones I think look a little bit more intimidating, look a little bit more unique, interesting, cool, however you want to say that. One thing I should also point out about the beam rifle, I didn't have the clear parts put in there, obviously, because I'm just going to wait till later once it's actually painted, but those are in clear green. It's kind of a dark clear green, really, actually, to be honest. I'll probably end up painting that or putting some kind of Aurora sticker on that or something, because I think once that's actually in there, unless you paint behind it or something, that dark green is just going to be a little bit too dark. Do also have a couple of foil stickers for that, so obviously didn't use those either, but those foil stickers will go on those if you are going to be using the stickers. And that's pretty much it for the accessories. We do have a few more parts, but they're like just action base connection parts for how you're going to be connecting this onto the action base in whichever form you choose. Rightio, so here's a look at the Rebawoo compared with the regular Rebawoo, and you can tell the Rebawoo is looking quite a bit more bulky. Even the wings, I mean the wings of the original Rebawoo are just kind of very wing-like, but the wings of the Rebawoo are a little bit shorter on both ends, but like the extra kind of like bulk there in the middle of them just adds like a little bit more kind of bulky look to the backpack rather than just it being like really sleek like on the original Rebawoo. Also just like the legs and the side skirts, I mean the side skirts is a small addition as well, but like that kind of extra bit there and the extra bit on the legs sticking up and out, and especially up off the sides of the legs is going to add kind of a lot just to like the bulk of the kit as well. So overall, quite a different look between the two of them. You can obviously see a lot of similarities, and they're going to be looking very similar in a lot of respects, but they're definitely just, I mean, even just straight out of the box, looking quite a bit different. One other small sort of ish complaint thing about this kit that's not really a complaint, like I said, I don't really like the shield attaches onto the back of the arm, that's kind of annoying. Another thing in a kind of similar vein of complaint is just that the kit is very heavy, like I said, just because that shield is quite heavy on the arm, and even that rifle is not really all that heavy, but it's quite long, so it's going to be a little bit very cumbersome to try to pose that just because of how long it is. And the legs obviously very heavy with the additional weight of that, but I'm finding the legs, actually the joints in them are actually quite stiff on this kit, so I think you're probably not going to have too much of an issue there. But just, it's a very cumbersome and kind of a little bit difficult kit to try to pose just because it's so big and bulky, but I think this is the kind of kit that I think is probably going to be best if you want to like paint it up, make it look all nice, all the decal markings on there, and then just have it just standing, not really in any sort of action pose. I mean, you definitely can do poses with this kit for sure, and like, I mean, the other thing to consider is that it is an RE kit, and RE kits are not known for their excellent articulation. It does have articulation, of course, like everywhere you would want it to, but they're not the most dynamic kits for sure, and that's a little bit unfortunate, but I mean, they look great nonetheless. So again, that's just my recommendation is, I mean, if you think that this kit looks great, just sort of just standing, then you should be happy with this kit, because that's probably what you're going to want to do with it anyway. And here is a little weight test of the beam saber effect parts on this shield. Now, as cool as those beam effect parts look, they're not really going to do you much good if you can't actually pose the kit with them. Now, aside from it being difficult because the shield is on the back of the arm, the other difficult thing is that the way that the shield connection works is that the shield connection to the arm is actually on a polycap which swings like this. And again, why? I guess the reason why is for when it's transformed, you're supposed to actually swing that connection down and it's supposed to be closed and out of the way. But in this case, it's not really helping at all because when you want to actually put that up, then that will fall down and it's not actually where it should be, like here, like firmly attached onto the back of the arm, but it's like sort of drooping down away from the arm, and that doesn't really look right either. And as you can see, it's all just drooping down in the shoulder. It's going to be drooping down. The elbow is actually really tight. The elbow is not really going to give you any problems at all. It's just up here that is going to be falling down like that, and just the weight is just not going to do any good. And again, just actually trying to do any sort of poses with that, it's just not really going to be working. So you're going to have to do something to either tighten that joint up or like make it into some sort of diorama where you just basically are gluing or pinning the joint in place like permanently. So as it is straight out of the box, those beam effect parts aren't really going to be able to do you much good. So getting into the transformation, here is the top half transformed into the Rebawoo attacker, and it's not looking that great, to be honest. I thought the Rebawoo attacker on the regular Rebawoo looked fine, passable. This one is just not looking quite as impressive, I think, whereas the mobile suit mode on this Rebawoo is very impressive. The Rebawoo attacker here, not really looking as great. It's kind of a little bit wonky. That shield, which is more bulky, now sticking out the back, and that rifle, which is now longer, sticking farther out the front, which would not necessarily normally be a bad thing. But it just looks, just not quite as great, I think. And then we do also have the Rebawoo Nutter, where the top half, I think, was not necessarily an improvement. The bottom half, I gotta say, I think is better, just with the additions on here. So, as I said, those missiles we had can be attached on here. They just kind of attach onto the side skirt. You can just pin those onto there. And the extra bits on the legs for the Rebawoo, I think, add a lot to the Nutter. If you are actually going to have it in this form, you just point those cannons forward like that. You kind of have to rotate these parts on the side of the leg a little bit so that those are pointed forward. On the bottom, it's going to be looking pretty much exactly the same, just with the sleeves stuff added on there. But on the top, it's definitely looking a lot more impressive. It still has this kind of weird block thing at the front, the head of it, which I guess you could remove if you want, but still, anyway, not too bad. So, all in all, guys, I gotta be honest, as good as I think this kit does look, and as happy as I am with the kit, doing this review has not been fun. This kit is not an easy kit to pose, and it's just been giving me a really hard time throughout this review trying to get this kit into poses. Like I've gone over in the review, it's just heavy, cumbersome, it's kind of hard to get it into poses that you want it to, and it has a lot to do with the shield, I'll just be honest. It has a lot to do with the shield, and just all the stuff poking out everywhere in every which way, especially just those parts off, like pointing up off the sides of the legs, kind of just get in the way of stuff, especially the shield. So yeah, that's just kind of annoying. I think probably when it comes down to it later, I'll just make my own new connection piece and just as a way, probably, just a straight peg into the side of the arm, and or possibly a magnet would probably work well too, but I think a peg would probably be a good idea because it's just going to be heavy. But just some way just to connect that onto the side of the arm is going to work much better in this case, so that's what I would recommend you guys to do. Maybe I'll do some video on that because I think it would be really super easy. And but it's going to be just kind of hard to actually explain that in this video, and I don't really want to take up time of this review to do that. But yeah, just attach that shield onto the side of the arm if you can, and then you'll be much happier with this kit, I think. So that's it, guys. If you have any other questions, comments, leave those down below. As always, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. Of course, I didn't show you guys actually like holding the beam axes. You can do that. You can attach the grenade launcher under the rifle. I think I'll probably eventually do that as well because I like the look of the rifle being a little bit bulkier with the grenade launcher under it. So there's other stuff that you can do with this kit. It's a really cool kit. Yeah, check it out if you're interested. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it does come with quite a lot of new stuff. So I think it's probably worth it if you really want a Rebawoo, because the HG Rebawoo kit, if you guys aren't familiar with it, is pretty crap. I actually have it, and I couldn't bring it out to compare it for you guys in this review because it's like a mess. It's in pieces. I was doing some kind of panel lining on it like 2 years ago, and I just kind of gave up. So anyway, that's it for this review, guys. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.